Welcome, Rangers fans, to our midweek coaches show, where, as always, we'll recap what's gone on in the last 7 days in Smithson Valley Athletics, and then later in the show, we'll hop ahead and see what's going on in the next 7 days until we have another show here. So, thank you for being here, and as we always do, we'll start by recapping our varsity football game from last week. We had a Thursday game, if you recall, against the Lehman Lobos up in Buda. Had a Thursday game and was able to win that game 42-7, which pushed our district record to 3-0. So, we did what we had to do, sloppy at times, other times very, very sharp, but, we made plays, had a bunch of explosive plays, had a lot of key takeaways, turnovers that we were able to create, and as I said, come away with a 42-7 win. So, let's talk about that a little bit. Coach Westford, as we always do, let's talk a little bit about our defense against the Lehman offense. How did that game go?
Well, I thought our kids did pretty well overall. I thought we did a good job of taking away the run, stopping the run.
Right.
Like you mentioned, created 4 takeaways, which is always one of our goals. We were pretty successful. We were successful on 80% of the third downs. On the side, looking for improvement, we had some miscommunication, a blown coverage, and gave up a touchdown. We need to get cleaned up on our own end and make sure that we're communicating and getting everything circulated throughout the whole defense, and we're all on the same page.
Well, one of the things you always like to do defensively, if you can, is score on defense. And we did it once and really had another one that was called back by kind of a bogus penalty, but we scored twice.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had a couple of touchdowns, and we talk every week, about let's score on defense, and the percentage or the chances of winning the game go up dramatically if we can score on defense. And we had a fumble, and Zedzikowski picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. Then they called holding on the guy that was tackling the guy with the ball.
Yeah.
So he got called for holding, and then, of course, Zach Genrick jumped an out route and picked that and went for a touchdown on that. So
really kind of put the game away. Those 2 turnovers,
yes,
one, like you said, we had to get back the touchdown, but went in to score. And then Zach put us up with his pick by 4 touchdowns and kind of effectively ended the game. And offensively, Coach Hill went down, scored the very first drive.
We did, yeah. Coming out of a bye week, sometimes you're a little concerned, are we going to be sloppy or start slow? And quite frankly, we've had some drives this year to start games where we ended up kicking field goals, which is fine to get 3 points, but we kind of set a goal, let's go down and score. And we scripted our first 10 plays and had a good idea of what we wanted to do. And our kids went out and executed. We started off with a counter play. Brad Sowers, we ripped for about 14. Second play of the game, hit Freddie DeBose for about 30 yards. And then we got down on the goal line and punched it in with Brad again. And it's nice to kind of, set this goal and tell the kids this is what we'd like to do. And they went out and executed flawlessly, marched us down the field and scored on the first drive of the game.
Yeah, you can put them on their heels and then later score again. But then Lehman gets to score, and it's back and forth, 14-7. A little frustrating at halftime. We felt like we played well. Mm-hmm. We were playing well, but did little false starts, a bad snap or two, just drive-killing things. But came out in the second half, I thought, and executed well.
We did. We overcame that. Kind of like Coach Worsford talks about on defense. Had a couple of sloppy moments, and I thought we were playing well overall, but we'd have some drive killers and shoot ourselves in the foot. In the second half, we eliminated that. We got out of our own way, and we finished drives. We were having some first down, and then turnover or bad snap or, false start. And we got rid of those sloppy mistakes, and we were able to execute and finish drives in the second half.
Good. Well, and as we said earlier, it resulted in a 42-7 win, which takes our district record to 3-0. There's 2 of us, ourselves and Bernie Champion, who are both 3-0, and a few others behind with just 1 loss and a few more with 2 losses. So, still real early in the district race with 4 games to go. But, that takes us to our next game, and that's going to be this Friday at Ranger Stadium against MacArthur. So a home game on Friday, and it's also homecoming. So with a chance to go 4-0, that's we're looking forward to that game. But before we talk about MacArthur, let's continue to look back throughout the past week. Let's toss it over to Melissa Miller, our assistant athletic coordinator, head volleyball, and she's going to tell us what's went on in our other sports since we had our last show. Coach, take it away.
Thanks, Coach Hill. Welcome back to another week of our recap. So we're going to start off with a recap of everything that happened this past week. We've got some awards and some groups we want to highlight this week, and then we'll talk about everything coming up next week. So the past weeks looked pretty good across the board. Volleyball had a program sweep last Friday versus Veterans Memorial, and then last night, Tuesday night, headed to Wagner and then headed to Veterans Memorial. And beat Wagner, all three teams, freshmen, JV, and varsity. So about halfway through second round. We've got some big games coming up we'd love to see you guys at, 3 more home games. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Cross country took this past week off. They have got their district meet this week, and we'll tell you in a little bit where you can find them. But they took this past week off from racing, although we see them out there every morning running. They're getting prepped for the highlight of their season. Water polo. So water polo has wrapped up their season. They finished third in district, which qualifies them for playoffs. And they had that first round playoff game this past Monday on our school holiday. They took on Buda Johnson. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. But again, we're really proud of that entire program, those coaches, Coach Duckworth, Coach Randall, for not just completing the season, but for getting to playoffs. For having a boys team, finishing the season with enough kids to have 2 teams. We do want to give a shout out to Natalie Salgado, Bella Edwards, and Elizabeth Lamb, who scored goals for us in that playoff game on Monday. So again, congrats to all of our water polo players. Thank you for sticking it out. Thank you for to the coaches. We look forward to watching you guys as you take a little break right now and then head into swim as we round out October. Speaking of playoffs, tennis also had their bi-district match this past Monday. So they finished third in district as well, got matched up with a very, very tough Cedar Park team, played them on Monday. Unfortunately, we lost a very, very, very close match. Final score was 8-10. There was one match unfinished, but it's the first to 10, and unfortunately that was Cedar Park. So huge congrats to Coach Lalonde, Coach Albright, all of our tennis team. The cool thing about tennis is they've got a fall season and a spring season. So they get to take a little break now, improve on the things that they feel like they need to, and then we'll see them back in the spring for what's called individual tennis season. So that's everything that's happened this past week. We've got some really exciting things coming up, some groups that we want to highlight. So Ms. Snyder, do you want to tell us about that?
I would love to. So as you know, this is homecoming week. We've been having a fantastic time with our dress-up days, but we would also like to give a shout out to our Stuco kids this week. They are our students of the week, so to speak, more than one, because this group of kids has really done a great job of decorating our campus and getting us in a festive spirit. We also want to highlight 2 teachers and some of their kids. Yeah. So our teachers, Miss Brem and Miss Riley, if you haven't seen it, they created a mum of, I don't even know, great proportions.
How tall do you think it is?
I want to say when they were telling me the I don't know what you call them, but the strands that hang at the bottom, the ribbons, is 12 feet alone. And then
I was going to say, it's probably like 15, 25, 20 feet, just to give you guys an idea. It fills the entire front foyer wall when you walk into the school.
It's fantastic.
I've heard every single parent, student, anybody that's walked by comment on it. I've seen pictures of it on social media. There's kids posing with it in between every passing period. Hallways are decorated like they've never been before, so huge shout out to both of those groups.
Fantastic job really creating a lot of spirit and energy for our campus this week.
Yes. So speaking of homecoming, we've got some big things coming up this week. As she said, dress-up days all week have been going really well. It's really fun to see the entire student body and the teachers and the admin getting involved. So let's talk about homecoming games. Volleyball has their homecoming game also this Friday versus Kerrville-Tivy. What we do in volleyball is we switch the time. So varsity will play first at 5:15. That's just to try to encourage more people to come to that varsity volleyball match, finish that, and then we'll all kind of head down to football at the same time. So varsity volleyball will play at 5:15 on Friday here at Smithson Valley in our gym against Tivy. And then next Tuesday is our Dig Pink game. So that is our game that honors breast cancer fighters and survivors. And that will be versus Canyon here at Smithson Valley at 7 o'clock. So 2 really big games coming up for volleyball. Speaking of really big, cross country has their district meet this Thursday. So they are at Starkey Park in Seguin. Varsity girls will start running at 9. Varsity boys will follow follow at 9:30, and then the JV teams will run after that. So good luck to Coach Hall, Coach Nunley, all of our cross-country kids. We look forward to catching you guys up next week with who's qualified to move on. And then now that we've got some sports kind of wrapping up, we've got some sports gearing up. So we do want to let you guys know that in the next 2 weeks, both girls basketball and boys basketball get started. That's the beginning of the season. That's tryouts, physicals need to be done, all of those things. So if you're interested in playing girls or boys basketball, please, 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 as soon as possible, get a hold of Coach Sutherland or Coach Thornton. Find out what you need to do so that when they start on October 18th for the girls and October 25th for the boys, you are ready and able to try out. And then we can't talk about things happening this week without mentioning our homecoming football game this Friday versus MacArthur at 7 o'clock.
And at the football game this week, we are honoring our state champion girls track team from last year. So that will be exciting. One other thing I wanted to mention is band this week on Saturday is at their regional competition.
Good luck to them.
We also have a homecoming dance this Saturday.
Saturday.
So lots
Big
of
week.
activities.
Yeah.
Yes, lots going on. But speaking of our game, and we're playing MacArthur, do you know MacArthur? Where did that name come from?
I know. I mean, I went to school. I remember learning. Do you?
I do.
I would be curious to see if Coach Hill knows what MacArthur's named after. Back to you, Coach Hill.
Well, that's a good question. I have a couple of history teachers on either side of me here, so hopefully, theoretically, they can answer that question. Coach Westerford will give you first crack at it.
Oh, man, put the pressure on me.
That's right.
I would have to say General Douglas MacArthur,
Yeah.
World War II hero.
5-star general.
Yes, sir, 5-star general.
Coach Hill, is that right?
Coach, he nailed it. He nailed it. My wife went to MacArthur. She'd be upset with me if I didn't know that.
Coach Touton, our offensive line coach, went to MacArthur as well. So, we're trying to make their alma mater lose this week if we can. And let's talk about those guys. They're off to, they won their first game, have lost some games since. Offensively, let's talk about our defense. What do they bring to the table, Coach?
Well, they try to be balanced. They have been a little bit option-oriented, triple option-oriented, similar to Wagner, but out of totally different formations. But they have some plays where the quarterback can give it, he can pull it, or he can pitch it. And then they'll throw the ball around a little bit as well. They look to throw quick game hitches and stuff out, and they really feature a lot of screen plays, that will be challenged to defend because, we fly around pretty fast on defense, or try to, and they may think that's something they can get us.
Well, like you said, our style of defense, every defense has a strength, and then things, if we're not careful, can be weaknesses. And ours, we are an attack-oriented defense, so we do see a lot of screens and draws and try to take advantage of our over-aggressive nature. And so we're likely to see some of that. So defensively, Coach, primarily a 4-down team, a 4-man front.
Yes, sir. Primarily a 4-down, 4-3 for the most part, a little bit of 4-2 early on in the season. We look at that as a good thing. We get to play what I think is the best defense in the area every week in practice and spring ball and in the summer, and we're a 4-down. So we've had some practice going against the 4-down, so our kids, I think, feel comfortable with the checks and the nuances of that. But Mac does have the ability, they'll jump in a 3-down front from time to time and have a stacked linebacker and a safety right behind them. So like usual, we'll have to be ready to identify the defense and make our calls and go from there.
Well, we're just trying to smooth out wrinkles a little bit, like every team is this time of year. You're a little bit past midseason, and what are we doing well? What are we not doing so well? What needs to improve? What needs to be eliminated? And that's the focus of the Rangers in practice this week. And we'll see how all that turns out this Friday at Ranger Stadium at 7 o'clock against MacArthur, the homecoming game. We hope all our ex-students will be here, and hope you'll be here and join us. And look forward to it. We'll see you next time. Go Rangers.